This morning, as I came into my studio, a thought occurred to me. And then I'm like, okay, I've got to set the camera up and I've got to record something on this. I don't have anything prepared in advance, no outline about what I'm about ready to share with you, but I do have a thought on my mind. And the thought occurred to me as I came in here to spend some time this morning working on whatever it is I'm going to work on today. Before even checking my email, which is way backed up from my 11-day trip to Franklin, Tennessee, Montgomery, Alabama, and the Smoky Mountains, I'll eventually email you back, I promise. But anyway, as I came in here today, without looking at my calendar to see what all's on my schedule, which I happen to know that there's nothing until like 3 o'clock today, just because I remember that from yesterday. I'm not looking at a to-do list. I'm not even thinking about a to-do list. Instead, I wanted to jump straight into this book, The Prosperous Coach, which I'm going through with a fine-tooth comb. And I'm that guy who, if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this, I'm that guy who pretty much highlights every single sentence out of a chapter. Okay, yeah, it's like, just to save highlighter here, I just highlighted the whole paragraph because, well, it means that much to me, all right? So I came down here and I started thinking about the fact that I am absolutely, I can't get enough when it comes to studying the skills, techniques, and strategies of transformative, deep, meaningful, conversational coaching with people right now. I mean, this is all I've thought of for weeks. And if I'd had to guess, I'd probably say that I'm spending somewhere about 2 to 3 hours a day studying how can I become a better coach? How can I have more transformative conversations with people? How can I make sure that if I'm going to spend 90 minutes in a deep coaching, conversational, transformational session with a client who is paying me a significant amount of their resources to have a transformational experience with me, how can I make sure that I'm adding as much value as possible? And I'm learning new things every single session that I do with folks. It's mind-blowing to me even what's going on as a result of this. And I've recently had the opportunity to have some coaching experiences with folks who said, Cliff, I'm happy if you'd like to, I'm like so blown away by the conversation I just had with you. I would be happy for you to be able to share this. There's nothing I've said in this call with you that I'm embarrassed of, and I think the world needs to know about the coaching that you do. Feel free to share our conversation in any way, public or whatever. And I'm like, really? Seriously? Okay, cool. And so when I have been sharing this with people in my Next Level Mastermind and a couple other different areas, they're like, gosh, Cliff, I could never do that. I mean, that's you. That's a special gift. That's a special thing. And I'm not going to suggest that there's not some sort of special gift or some special calling inside of me that draws me to this area of my life. But the thing is I don't think I'm the only one drawn to this. In fact, I've become even more aware of the fact that there are more people in my community who, quite frankly, the reason why my message resonates with them is because they feel drawn to devote their lives to the same things that I've felt drawn to devote my life to. And that is to entertain, educate, encourage, and inspire others. To go deep, to build deep relationships. You know, to not spend 20, 30, 40 or more hours of our week trying to figure out how to do the marketing. How do I create an email list? How do I get to the top 10 in iTunes with my podcast? How do I get the next thousands of people? How do I do successful Facebook ads? How do I create sales funnels? How do I optimize and what is that called when you actually have A/B testing? How do I A/B test my sales page with different color buttons? That's not me. And the thing is I've never needed any of those things. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no doubt in my mind that if I was to successfully implement that or hire somebody to successfully implement that for me, I'd see even further reach and greater success in certain areas. But there's a reason why I've never been drawn to that to this point. It's because, well, my priority and what I'm learning is the deep, meaningful conversations that I was created to have with individuals and small groups of people. And that's something that I've been talking about a lot lately. But people have said, Cliff, oh my gosh, I saw what you did in that video. And quite frankly, it's like, you should see what happens in some of the ones that I don't have the permission to share. And the question is that only for me? Am I uniquely gifted in this area? Well, I am uniquely skilled in this area. What I want to share with you is something that, as I came down here this morning, what is one thing, what is one secret to my success? And there's not any just one thing. I mean, so many things have led, many things have led to get me to the place where I am today in my life, my business, in so many areas, my mindset and everything else. And over time, I hope to have the opportunity to share as much of all of this information with you as possible, either through content like this, through my podcast, or even through live events, workshops, and maybe even mastermind groups or one-on-one coaching. But today I want to share with you one thing that has risen to the top of my mind, a secret to my success that I think any of you can apply. And that is going deep. Immersing yourself in the study of what you want. You see, a while ago, I rediscovered ABBA. I don't even I do remember how it happened. It was about a year ago. The Mamma Mia 2 came out. I'm a huge ABBA fan, and I'm a huge fan of the first ABBA or Mamma Mia movie with Meryl Streep, and yeah, I just am. I'm not apologizing. If you don't like that, whatever. But Mamma Mia 2 came out, and there were some songs I hadn't heard, and so I started researching, and then I went down this entire rabbit trail. See, I'm insanely curious. Okay, that's not a proper adjective. I am obsessively curious, and I've been told that maybe the word obsession isn't a good tool. I'm compulsively curious, and maybe compulsive is a negative word, but here's what I would say. I'm curious. I want to go deep. When something strikes me, I go deep. And I found this book about ABBA. It was a biography. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, at this point, what I can tell you is I listened to an audiobook that was 42 or 44 hours in length. And I went deep in understanding what made ABBA ABBA. How did they get to where they were? And the things that I learned about ABBA. And how they went through and gave me the biography of each of the 4 individuals, plus Stig Anderson, who was the guy who really helped them gain the popularity. I learned all 5 human beings' backstories and how everything just weaved together. And through all of that, I spent about 44 hours listening to the audiobook. I probably spent about 80 hours listening to their music over and over again, and I went and researched. This is the first cassette tape I ever owned, which, by the way, this isn't the one. I found this one used on eBay, but I'm like, you know, I just like, man, I love this, and it brings back so many memories. But my love and obsession with ABBA at the time and going so deep, not only did I listen to 44 hours of audiobook, not only did I listen to their music on repeat for like a month straight, I was also watching probably over 100 hours during the course of a month while I was listening to that audiobook. I probably spent over 100 hours watching documentaries, interviews, and all kinds of online biographies on YouTube about ABBA. I went deep, you know, and I used to believe, by the way, I used to have this feeling like, I hate to read. I must not be a great reader. And I've discovered something new. I actually do love to read when I'm passionate about what I'm reading. You see, one of the things that I've heard from some of my friends is they set their goals. It's like, listen, I read at least 1 book a week. I read at least 2 books a week. And yes, I have those friends that read 2 books a week. And I hear people say, listen, I'm going to read 52 books in the next year. So that's their goal for 2019 or whatever. I'm going to read 19 books in 2019 or 20 books in 2020, whatever the case may be. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, I must I must not love to read as much as these people do, because quite frankly, I don't read that fast. And I thought maybe it's because I'm not a great reader. And you know what I've discovered? It's not because I'm not a great, it's because I go deep. It's because when I read something, I read it, I highlight it, I stop to think about it, and then I go and try to apply it. I might get 3 paragraphs into a chapter, and I sit there and think about that all day. How can I apply that to this situation that I'm in right now? How can I actually take this, what I've just read, and if I look back and think about my experiences in the past, if I kind of just see it as a written documentary of what's happened over the past 10 years of my life, and I look back and I kind of see what's gone on back there, but it's a little blurry. But then I put my old man reading glasses on and I look back like this. I see things a little bit clearer when I put my readers on. All right, so check this out. I read a chapter and I'm like, wait a second. And all these lenses is a filter to see the world in a different way. And I'm like, oh, ooh, I see things more clearly now than I have in the past. And so rather than reading, rather than highlighting this and then going on to the next chapter, going on to the next chapter, going on to the next chapter, so I can say, hey, at the end of this week, I've read 2 books, I will instead sometimes spend an entire week reevaluating my entire life based upon 1 paragraph in a single chapter. I go deep. And that is something, I go deep down into rabbit holes. I follow my curiosity. I follow my passion. And sometimes it might seem like, how on earth is my curiosity about Harry Potter and spending and devoting every free moment while brushing my teeth or driving in the car, listening to the audio version of Jen Dale read me all 7 books or however many books there are in the Harry Potter series? How does that benefit me in any way? How does studying ABBA benefit me in any way? And when I'm doing it, I don't know that I actually know how it's benefiting me, but all I know is it's expanding my mind. It's helping me creatively think in new directions. And what I can tell you is every time I've ever gone deep, I grow. Whether that be through a fiction novel, whether that be through studying people's success like ABBA or the Beatles or any other biography, whether it be watching a television show that entertains me, or whether it be getting into a book that, quite frankly, most people say, Cliff, I don't understand where you're getting such a life transformational experience from this book, The Prosperous Coach. I downloaded the audiobook. I listened to it. It's 4.5 hours. How did that take you a week? Yes, it took me a week to listen to a 4.5 hour audiobook version of The Prosperous Coach. And here's the thing, I didn't just listen to it once. I'll listen to it a second time. I'll listen to it a third time. And then, because they don't have the Kindle version, I'll go get the paper, or not the paper, I got the hardback version. I think this thing was like $56 for a book these days. Come on. It was worth it to me. And then what am I doing? I'm literally going through page by page and I'm almost highlighting something on every single page. And I spent hours on the first 10 chapters. And by the way, each chapter is like a page. Seriously, it's insane how little... how few words there are in each of these chapters, but how much value is contained in each of those words. I go deep. And it's why sometimes my friends out there who say, Cliff, I'll give you another example of this. It was September 2017, and I read or listened to the audiobook called The Big Leap. And that Big Leap is something most people could listen to in an afternoon. The audiobook, they could just slide through, listen to it in an afternoon. It took me 2 weeks to get through the audiobook of The Big Leap. And then I downloaded the Kindle version of The Big Leap, and I went through and I highlighted practically everything. Matter of fact, I think there was at one moment where I was highlighting and I was copying and pasting what I was highlighting into my Evernote. I was taking notes. And do you know what the Kindle said to me? the Kindle says, excuse me, sir, you have reached the maximum amount of copying and pasting allowed within this ebook. And I wasn't even a third of the way through. I mean, technically, it's almost as though I was trying to copy and paste my own and write my own notes in Evernote. I was trying to copy and paste about 70% of what I was reading. Why? Because it's just hearing it, seeing it, copying and pasting it, writing down my own thoughts after it. It's driving it down deep inside of me. You know, some of the things that I've been able to do through the coaching that I do is because I have told people this. I have purchased this 10-day program called Creating Lasting Change from Tony Robbins. I purchased a 30-day program called Personal Power 2 from Tony Robbins. I purchased an audio version of his Unleash the Power Within conference, which is another, I think it's another 5 or 6 or 7 hours. I convert them all down to MP3 files. I keep them on my phone with me. And since 2016, since May of 2016, I've listened to them on repeat. I'm now on my 37th time through those 3 programs. I go deep every single time. So while my friends may have, since 2016, since I have maybe consumed all of the audio programs of Creating Lasting Change, Personal Power 2, and Unleash the Power Within, I may have read The Big Leap, and I may have been digging in deep into The Prosperous Coach, and quite frankly, not much else. My reading list is not expanded beyond, well, really 2 big books, The Big Leap and now The Prosperous Coach. Meanwhile, since 2017, many of my friends have read and benefited from more than 100 books. But I have read too. And I used to feel guilty about it. It's like, man, do I not have this insane, insatiable desire to read and expand my knowledge? Am I a terrible reader? I've come to rediscover that, wait a second, going deep is who I am. Immersing myself in the study of what piques my curiosity. I was out to dinner recently with Michael Hyatt, and he said something to me probably for the 5th time. I've known Michael Hyatt, I think, since 2010, maybe a little earlier. But anyway, he said something to me. It's like the 5th time he goes, you know what I like about you, Cliff? I love that when you find something you're passionate about, it's like you're all in. You're either not passionate about it or you are. But when you are, you go into it with everything you've got. And by the way, this is one of my greatest strengths. It has a potential weakness as well, because sometimes I will go so heavily focused and in depth, and my focus will be on that one thing at the exclusion of some other important things. And I'm learning those distinctions. I've learned from some of the mistakes in the past, and I'm learning, hey, how can I use this superpower of going deep without losing focus on other priorities in my life? And I'm becoming a greater person as a result of that. And certainly it's the ability to go deep. So my question is where in life do you need to go deep? Where in life do you need to stop going wide and instead go deep? What is it that you most want out of life? How much time, effort, and energy are you spending? Not something that you feel you have to do. See, the thing is spending 2 or 3 hours a day in studying and expanding my knowledge of effective coaching, that's not work to me. In fact, it's just pure joy. I find myself listening to coaching and deep, transformative coaching material that inspires me on how to take it to the next level 10, 15, 20, 30 hours a week. That's how much I'm investing in my coaching to take it to the next level, because that's where I most want to improve right now. That's what I most want to do. You see, how did I get to the place where I've lost over 100 pounds and put on, 26 pounds of muscle? How did I do that? It's 4 years of intense focus on that stuff. I went deep into that area of my life. How did I get to the place where, all of the areas, I followed my passion, my curiosity, and I went deep, regardless of what anybody thought about it. Every free moment of my time consumed with my passions? Are you going deep? What do you want to go deep into? What do you need to give yourself permission to go deep into? And also, what other things do you need to stop doing? What other big goals like that are impressive? I want to read 35 books this month. I don't know what it is. What is it that you need to actually stop going wide on? And what do you want to go deep into? Ask yourself that question. I have found one of my secrets to success, one of the things reasons why I am as excellent as I am in the things that I do. Why can I actually fire up a video like this without saying 50 million times? It's because I have created over 4,000 audio podcast episodes with over an hour of me communicating without an outline. It's because I have over 1,000 videos that I put on YouTube without an outline. I didn't get to this overnight. I went deep. I became all consumed with my passion. And sometimes I didn't know how that would ever pay off, ever have a return on my investment of time, effort, and energy. But I will tell you, there's always time, effort, or there's always a return on investment when you go deep into following your passion, your curiosity, those things that pique your interest, that tap in and help you understand a little bit more about what drives you. Don't ask what the world needs, Howard Thurman said. He says instead, go and ask yourself this: what makes you come alive? What piques your curiosity? What is it that is drawing you to dive deeper? Go and do that, because what the world needs most are people who come fully alive. Go deep, my friends. Follow your curiosity. That's my message for today. Thanks for watching.